welcome back to episode 34 of the podcast. We're excited to be here today. We got a little snow in the forecast, so maybe I'll go out and play a little bit. We'll see.
It would be nice to play in the snow.
I really would just want to play some football in the snow so I could tackle you. Like hit stick like the old Madden days.
Well, yeah, but I don't know about that. You know what? I really wish I could be playing in the snow with Kai.
Oh, yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah, really playing in the snow with her. She's not really getting to feel the snow.
I know, being down south.
Yeah.
I saw something the other day. I didn't read the article, but I scrolled by it, and it said that, studies show that the youngest sibling is the funniest. I don't know about that, but then I was like, Kai is pretty funny.
Yeah, Kai is funny, but you know what? You can say, well, you got them, but Brianna, Kiera, all of them. Brianna wasn't really funny. Yeah. Brianna seemed to be more focused, more serious, and
yeah,
you was more funnier than them.
Yeah, I like to have the comedy crown, but I'm like, Kai pretty.
No, you got the comedy crown.
She got some jokes.
Oh yeah, Kai. Yeah, Kai is something else.
It's a big week ahead though, Dad. You know why?
Why?
Because on Monday, I should have that second round of merch in my possession. So people, your stuff is getting shipped this upcoming week. Make some noise.
I'll clap for that too.
I'm excited because, thank you for everyone that wants to rep the brand, really supporting us from day one, for what we stand for. So, much love to y'all. And we appreciate you just wanting to, show your support and also share our show with, people you interact with. So thank you. And while we're at it, talking about sharing is caring, share an episode or two with at least two friends, because one goal, I want us to double our listeners in 2020.
Let's do it.
All right. Got to ask you about your podcast goals. But we're going to talk about that at another time because we got a lot of things I want to touch on today. But before I move on, how are you, Dad?
Actually, I'm feeling pretty good today. I got a little bit more rest yesterday, so and I can tell, and that's something that I might need to do a little bit more.
Yeah, I don't get a lot of rest this time of year.
Well, rest's been kind of hard for me because I'm accustomed to being up and accustomed to not really doing that. But like yesterday, I really just rest. And made a fact that, you know what, I was tired, so I had to rest.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have to push myself.
Yeah, so, this time of year, I work my day job. I'm also coaching, and I got podcast business to handle. But yeah, I'm gonna tell you, I had a fun week coaching. We had 3 games. We went 2-1, but we won both of our league games. So I'm happy about that. And they weren't easy victories. They were like one of the teams we probably should have blown out, but for some reason we don't blow teams out. We won by like 6.
Well,
so, it's kind of fun because you really get their character wins for your team. Being, back and forth games where you got to come back from being down a little bit. It really shows you what your players are made of. And I got some good pieces.
Right. You know what? And that pays off in a way, because if you just blowing people out, when you get into a tough game or a close game, you don't know how to play them games really. So anyway, with your young team and they building, and that's teaching them the way, if you just go out there and blow everybody out, then they ain't gonna be no good. What about when the playoff come and all the pressure come, and now you got a playoff game and you're not used to playing them type games?
Yep. And that was one of the big things, I focused on teaching, was just how to close out games. Like playing with the lead and, emphasizing that down the stretch, you want to time and score. You want to work the clock. You want to get great shots. There's no need to start jacking up, quick shots. When you got a young team, you'll find that when they get pressed, they just end up going downhill and they take the first shot there. Where it's like really teaching my guards, like, hey, once you get over half court, like you don't got to go into score mode. You can always circle it back out, get a set. Let's look to take, 40 to a minute off the clock, 40 seconds to a minute off the clock just by running through our motion offense, force them to come out and play you. So teaching them that, teaching them the value of, holding on to the ball, not turning it over, not taking quick shots because, guys always think about like, well, I made it, right?
Right.
And, even when they make certain shots, I still let them know I don't like that shot, right? Because it's not one of those, oh, all right, it went in. I don't do that. I don't do that at all as a coach. And, I showed them in our Tuesday game because we played against a very good team, Masterman High School. And, one thing I respect about this school and this coach is no matter the level of talent he has,
right,
they always find a way to stay in the game because they're a very disciplined team. And I respect that a lot. When you got a team that's disciplined and methodical, they're going to find a way to be in games. And they had a couple guys like 6'3", 6'4". They weren't really post players, but they were skilled. So if they got the ball inside, they can drop step, finish around the rim. They also can knock down the jump shot, right? So, they had some weapons. And so down the stretch, late in the fourth, they just started giving my man the ball on the block. And we had some trouble with him because he was pretty skilled. He moved. He could finish over that left shoulder. And I was telling our guys, like, they went to him 3 straight plays, and we couldn't get a stop. So I'm like, when you keep giving them extra possessions, that's how teams cut leads down. Because if you're not hitting shots, keeping, your cushion, then you're giving them extra opportunities to put points on the board, which is why you try to kill the clock late in game. So it was a big learning week. Then I had some fun with some refs this week, so that was good. On Monday, I feel like the ref was he had a little bit of a, like, power imbalance, like he was, when refs kind of power trip a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Then I also felt like sometimes being young presents certain challenges for me being in the head coaching spot. And then also, what I've found is certain officials, they'll have some biases, maybe some prejudice, and you kind of feel it, right? But on Monday, I was dealing with, this one ref. First thing that happened was it was kind of a bang-bang play at the rim, right? So my first approach is I'm always cool, right? I'm cool as a cucumber, cool, calm, and collected, right? So I walk over to him, and so on the play, they had a player driving. My guy came in to try to just come up there with his hands up. Bang, bang. I thought it was more of a no call than anything because, when a guy dribbling and then there's some contact, then he jumps and somehow they call it a shooting foul. I'm like, all right, he just went barreling in there. So I asked the ref, I was like, where did he get him, with the body, with the arms? He said, with the body. And I was like, he wasn't standing there, though? He was like, no, he came flying in. I was like, I don't know. And so, I think that might have been the first one that kind of irritated him because, again, young black kid, I look younger than some of my players. You're like, it's like I don't know more than them or something, right? They always take offense when I challenge. So second play, or second instance where, I said something to this official, loose ball. My guy's going for it. He gets there. Other player dives for the ball. Ref calls a foul on my guy. I'm like, ref, what are you calling? He said he pushed him down. I said, no, he dove for the ball. And I went back and watched the tape that night, and I was right. My guy got there. Their player clearly stretched it out for it. He was not shoved to the ground. So I let the ref know that was a terrible call. And when I did it, I'm like walking away from him. So I'm not like following up and down the court, Third instance, Dad, this is where it gets bad, and I want to hear your perspective because you've officiated. You know what it's like to be a professional ref and things you should try to do to keep, things from escalating, right? We start pressing, right? Ball's at the far end of the court, right? Opposite our end. Their player hooks my guy. So I'm yelling like, yo, hook, not at the ref, not in any direction, just up the floor. Ref walks by me on the bench and goes, he didn't make contact. That's why I didn't blow the whistle. And I was like,
saying when he hooked him?
Yeah, I was like, that's not accurate. Definitely was contact. And I was like, I don't care if there was contact. You can't hook a guy's body. You can't put a ring around someone's body. You're breaking planes. Doesn't work like that. And so then he comes back to me, right?
Right.
He comes back to me and he goes, that's enough. I tried to do you a favor and give you an explanation. And I was like, well, I ain't asked for you to come over here to begin with. I was like, so since you came over here and said something to me, I'm giving you a response. Drop it. Like, you want to give me order. Like, you want to assert some authority.
Drop it?
Yeah, he told me to drop it. I said, again, you came over here. I'm giving you a response because you approached me. You know what he ended up doing?
Right.
Giving me a bench warning. And I kept going with him, right? I kept going. All he gave me was a bench warning. I'm like, that was your opportunity. Give me a tech, sit me down. That was your opportunity right there. But
I think that he realized that he might have made a bad call or said something bad and was just trying to clarify it instead of really just letting it go.
Yeah, like he's the one that's supposed to let it go. He's the one that's supposed to just walk down the other end of the floor. It's one thing as a coach if I'm pacing the sideline with you and in your ear.
Right.
There's another thing if you walk to me. You're never supposed to approach the coach as a ref. You should be locked into the game. If I'm getting out of hand, you should give yourself the opportunity, take some steps away, and see how I respond. Now, if I come following you, fine, tee me up. But if I'm just standing there and you're coming to me, that's on you at that point. You're the one escalating that, in my opinion. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I think that you're right, but you got to remember the same way that you mess with officials might come back at you in a certain way, just to keep you calm and stuff like that. Now, a good official can say something to a coach. You'll see it all the time that they come because you got to remember it's your head against his head. So now he got to come back. But I think that the official he was just showing so much guilt that he was wrong. Where I think that, like you said, you wasn't pacing up down the sideline in his ear all about the play, and he came back to you. So therefore, I don't feel that with it. Because like I always remember an incident when I was playing in college. And I ran up to the referee because I don't know how he made this call. And I ran to him and said, "How did you call that?" He said, "I guess." And I said, "Okay, it was a good guess." And it's the same way of working the referees and putting it in. I could have said that, but he said that. But yeah, the official was dead wrong. And it's about playing with the referees and becoming friends with the referees too. Because you know what, you want some breaks, just like sometimes they're going to do that.
Yeah, and this ref. He called so many delay games against our team, like for nonsense. Like ball kind of goes through.
Yeah, you only get one delay a game.
Everything was a delay game. Yeah, so he was teeing our team up left and right.
Checks?
Yeah, he was teeing us up left and right.
Wow.
It was insane. We only lost the game by like 4. He teed us up because there was one that was warranted. One of my players got emotional. He spiked the ball. I'm fine with that. That's a tee any day of the week. Perfectly fine with it. He called one because. Like the ball, I guess we scored the ball and it was about to land on our big. So, instinctively you kind of get your hand up and smack it. So called another delay game, technical there. The one that kind of ticked me off a little bit.
Now, you said y'all scored.
Yeah, sometimes people slap the ball. Yeah, but I don't think my kid did it to
But he was
break
right
up the
under
play. He was under the basket.
Okay.
So the ball gonna land on your head. So if you just put your hand up.
He was actually using bad judgment. He was just seeing the ball. He didn't see,
If my guy's standing, it was my 5, so he's under the rim, trying to crash the board. So if that ball goes through and he's under the basket, it's coming towards his face.
That's just a reflex.
Yeah, exactly.
So a reflex.
Exactly.
So, I mean, see, I think that would be bad for him to do that.
Yeah, and so the one that got me was we was playing down at Lloyd Hall. There's not really a sideline at Lloyd Hall. So even when you're sitting on the bench, your feet are basically on the court.
Right.
Because there's not a lot of space. So we made a big play down the stretch. A big block. I think we might have been tied or something. We fought our way all the way back into this game. And, the bench got excited because it was a chase down block. Our big man pinned it on the glass. So they jumped up, right? Ref called delayed game because we had guys on the court. So, I told him, I'm like, what happened? He's like, they got on the court. And I'm like, 1, the ball's all the way down the other end, right? So it's not even like it interfered. 2, you got to understand it's a tight sideline. But I told him, I didn't even fight this one. I was like, you know what? If you stand up, you're going to be on the floor. So, yeah, if you jump up and you take 2 steps, you're going to be way out there. Fine. He got super defensive. He's like, they're on the court. He was all the way out here. I'm like, listen to me. I'm telling you, I agree with you.
But you said the ball was all the way down the
opposite end of the floor.
So that didn't have no effect with what was going on with the game.
So if you look, you would think you would take into consideration, like, all right, it's a tight sideline. It was a big play. He was power tripping. But, I was telling this guy, like, yo, I agree with you. And he kept getting defensive. That's when he's not in his right. He has no control.
So what about the other team when they did it? Did they get it?
When they got a steal with like 4 seconds left and laid it up, their coach ran out. He was damn near at the top of the key. Nothing. So we kind of got robbed, but it was an opportunity to teach our boys like, hey, listen, When you got refs like that, just let me deal with it. Let me deal with it. But on Tuesday, we had a great ref. You know, he made a call late. I didn't disagree with his call at all. I thought he called the right foul, but he was a little slow on the whistle. I was like, you had to think about that one, and he was like, no, and he said it's pretty easy. Then he came back the next play and explained to me there's like a 4-letter acronym that they look for, like balance, direction, and I forget the last two, but refs like that can explain to me what they look for and their explanations of calls actually make sense. I have great respect for them. Because that's how I look at games. You know, by you being a ref, by me studying the game, like I kind of know, I have a good understanding of the rule books and what classifies as what.
Right.
So
right.
I'm more receptive of you giving me a good call. Whereas on Thursday, right, one official, we got 3 offensive rebounds. Each time kicked it out for a 3. Unfortunately, we missed it, right? On the third shot, my player comes down and he lands on the defender's foot, right? Come down the other end, we commit a foul, so they're shooting, and I asked the ref, I'm like, hey, can you just watch to make sure, you know, my players have a landing spot when they shoot? You want to know what the ref's response was?
What?
Oh, that's that entertainment y'all be watching. Like, first of all,
entertainment.
I'm like, first of all, who is y'all? Like, who are you grouping me with? Trying to say, like, that's that NBA stuff. Like, he jumped forward. I was like, first of all, my player didn't jump forward. I'm very familiar with his shooting form. He's a straight up and down shooter. No lie. This is how this guy shoots. He jumps straight. He's a pretty straight up and down guy, right? So because I knew 3 guys shot the ball that possession, you know what I said to the ref next? I was like, do you even know which one of my players shot the ball? He was like, the one that shot the jump shot.
Bruh.
I was like, okay, thank you very much, because 3 different guys shot the ball. You're great. You're doing a fantastic job. I'm like, dude, you're an idiot. You're literally, because that's when you're not thinking about the game. It's refs like that I can't respect. Because you're not even in tune or really trying to hear. You're just trying to say something to shut me up, right? Whereas I'm really trying to have I thought my approach was good. Like, I didn't say, like, hey, you should have called the foul. I just said, you make sure my players have a landing spot when they shoot.
And he shouldn't have said nothing.
Right.
When you said
He
that.
could have just said, okay.
I wouldn't even. I wouldn't even say. I would have just stayed into the game because, like, you know what?
I've had refs do that to me, too. They just ignore you.
What? I mean, now, are you gonna keep on carrying on about that, or are you just gonna let that go?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if I entertain you, then that gonna give you more to say. Now, like you're saying, so now while I'm busy talking to you, I'm gonna miss a play because the game going on.
Yeah, exactly.
So
They
therefore,
turn and look, and meanwhile, I'm like, bro, you just missed a foul. Like, turn around.
I might have said to you, okay.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
like,
all.
okay.
And that's all I was looking for. All I was looking for was an
that's
okay.
good.
Now when you start
I'm
giving
not-
me this BS, like,
I'm not gonna be
because it was
right.
kind of demeaning. That's that entertainment. Y'all be what? I'm like, no. But here's the big thing, that so that same game on Thursday, you know, we got a ref. My guy tried to take a charge. Defender hits his right shoulder. He calls a blocking foul. So the ref kind of let me explain my case, right? Which I appreciated. He was like, he turned. I was like, no, the contact forced his body to turn, right? I thought it should have been a no call,
Okay.
if anything.
Okay.
He's like, well, did he fall? I was like, you don't got to fall to take a charge. Like, the rules doesn't say you have to fall to take a charge. Then he's just looking at me. Well, his body turned. I said, listen, the body turning and him falling is 2 totally different things. Like, these are 2 different things here. I'm like, I don't think it was a charge. I don't think it was a block because my guy was set. Now, his body turning, if anything, it should have been a no call. Offense tried to jump through him. He had position. His body was square. It's not like he was turned or anything. He was set. The offensive player hitting his shoulder is what caused his body to turn. So, if anything, it's a no call.
So most of the time when you turn your shoulder.
Yeah, so, like, I mean, if you're just standing there square, dude, your body's going to turn.
Right.
Right? You try to take a charge. You know, I teach all my guys to
That's
take
why
charges.
you mostly usually look at the person's feet to see
You
if
make sure
they
they
plan
set.
it.
You make sure if they set and plan it. Right, exactly.
Right.
So-
And then like that, like you said, you totally right. If somebody run into you, you
Yeah,
go to turn.
Yeah, so then at the end of the first half, I got a player driving to the basket, and I can show you this on tape. Defender comes in super late at an angle, whistle silent. And now, granted, this same official was on the opposite end of the floor, so it wasn't really his call. But as time was expiring, I let him know. I was like, yo, that's the same thing you called a block down here. Same thing, if not worse, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm heading up to the locker room, and you know what he says?
What?
Watch your mouth, coach. As I'm going up the steps, right? I came back down the stairs. I said, for what? What'd I say? I said, I ain't say anything out of line to you. I let you know you're not being consistent. And he kept saying, watch your mouth. And so then I guess when I got upstairs, right, he went to my assistants. And he goes to, one of them is my former teammate. The other one is Devin, right? They got my back. So he goes, y'all better tell that little boy. My man Eric goes, whoa, that's a man.
That what the ref was saying?
Yeah. My man E goes, that's a man. And Devin, like, that's a grown man. Like, they're up there holding my back, and I'm not even in the room. So when they told me that, I greatly appreciated it. Because that's what you want. You know, people to kind of speak up for you when you're not there. That says a lot about the people you associate with. But for him to fix his mouth and try to call me a little boy, my man only 5'4", so he's the little boy.
Well, first of all, him talking like that.
That's so disrespectful,
and that's no class.
Right?
That's
exactly.
no class.
There's no way to behave professionally. And I get it. Like, I'll go to the coaches and captain circle. I look very young, so sometimes it's confusing. But when I stand there,
you're looking young.
When I stand there between two guys in uniforms at the coaches and captain circle, don't ask where's your coach. Like, I'm present. I'm here. I'm the coach.
Oh, don't tell me he did that too.
Oh yeah, it happens every game. But really? I go up there and he just looks.
Where your coach?
He just looks very confused and he's like, "Where's the coach?" Or I get, "You're the coach," and it's like, "Yes."
Hold up, who do you think you are?
I don't know. So I
got like you in uniform or you dressed down.
I got to start. I had on. Now, granted, this game I didn't have on, my suit and tie or my shirt. Right. I had on golf polo, khakis, sneakers, casual coaching day, right? But I clearly wasn't dressed like like I wasn't like a player. I wasn't in any sport attire or athletic clothing. The other team's coach, though, older white gentleman, sweatpants and hoodie.
But I mean, who do you think come out there? Somebody from the sideline, somebody from off the street?
You think, maybe they thought I was a captain.
Manager. You're the manager.
Maybe they thought I was a captain that wasn't playing today due to injury. I don't know, but I get it so much, and I know it's solely because of my age. Hence why he felt like he could call me a little boy. So I get it a lot. But I make it very clear. And I say it very firmly. And I'll let you know, like, dude, you need to wake up here. And the other guy do it, and I love it because my players, man, when I tell you we have that family atmosphere, my man Dejan, who I used to play with his brother, we were teammates. He goes, he's right here. Like, he said it so firmly. And then my other guy, Khalil, who is my guy that had the big turnaround from year to year that I always talk about, he just looks at him like what? Like, always confused.
You know what? I know what I suggest next time when I'm saying that to you, say thank you. Just say thank you. And then if he asks you, thanks for the praise. Thanks for the compliment.
Yeah.
For me looking so young, but I am the coach.
Yeah.
Just hit him with a thank you.
Yeah.
And don't say no more.
I'm going to try something like that. Because I thought about saying, like, well, I'm not a ref. Or, well, I'm not a manager. Like,
just tell him thank you. I'm the coach.
Yeah, or one day I might just stand there and just be like, but yeah, I'll try to thank you approach next time.
Yeah, no.
Make it lighthearted.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, so that's been my week. Team been grinding, we've been playing well. So I'm just glad I got to share that. And, you told me when you came to the first game this year, like, I want to see some more emotion. But, I let it kind of come out organically. It's been unleashed, Dad.
Well, you got to go as the flow go. As the game sometimes. Sometimes you got to spruce it up or whatever you got to do.
100%. So, Dad, there was, I want to call it, earth-shattering news this week.
What's the earth-shattering news?
The WNBA's new collective bargaining agreement. Big time, big money changes, baby. Let's clap it one time for the WNBA.
Well, that's good. I was reading some of that too, but I'll let you get into that because, like, some of it would be good. You need your glasses?
Can we be twins for a minute?
Oh, yes, we can.
We can be twins. All right, let me get ready because I don't want to miss anything. So let me make sure I get, as Cousin D would say, let me get my 4 eyes on. All right, so look. So, WNBA, the League and the Players Association, they've come to an agreement in principle. Still got to be ratified. But, there's a lot of improvements to pay and benefits for players as well as for the league. So both sides was really able to, check some boxes that were big on that priority list, which is great because, negotiation, you got some give and take. So for anybody who doesn't know, I'm big on the WNBA, right? Like,
I know you are.
yeah,
That's why when you tell me check that out, that's why I knew what it was.
man. So for people that don't know, just a little brief history. All right, WNBA was launched in '97. It was initially a single entity where the league owned the teams. There were 8 original teams, and eventually that kind of changed. But originally the league ran the teams, and they were kind of operated by NBA franchises, right? In the 2000s, the WNBA started to really grow and take off quite a bit, and they added independently owned franchises, including some of my favorites, the Connecticut Sun and the Chicago Sky. So along the journey, also 6 franchises no longer exist. They folded due to low attendance and, not enough revenue. And then also 5 teams also relocated. But these struggles, they're not unusual. All the big 4 leagues went through phases like this: the NBA, NFL, MLB, and the NHL. Like, this isn't unusual. Today, the WNBA has 12 franchises. Last season, this is something I thought was pretty interesting. Last season, attendance dropped by 3.5%. You might be like, oh man, we're going in the wrong direction, right?
Right.
But guess what? TV ratings increased by about 64%, 64.5%. That's pretty good. So, WNBA games are now broadcasted and streamed on, some major networks: ABC, ESPN, ESPN2, NBA TV, and one I didn't know was Twitter.
Yeah, I didn't know about Twitter.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm not on Twitter that much. I might need to get on there
Well,
a little
I'm
bit.
definitely not on Twitter. That's
Especially
probably why I
during
don't know.
WNBA season. So each season, more and more games have been available for people to watch. So the league is definitely growing. I think it's heading in the right direction. I encourage, all of our listeners, because I'm going to make it known when the season rolls around in the spring, to check it out. But yeah, just watch the WNBA. Even if you about to leave out the house, or go downstairs to watch or go downstairs to eat dinner, leave the TV on in the bedroom on ESPN or ESPN2 and that WNBA game on to help them ratings out. Right? Support those sisters. All right, but just diving a little bit into, some of the changes in this new collective bargaining agreement. One of the biggest that I guess more so benefits the league is they have this new prioritization policy. So we've talked about before how players go play overseas, right?
Right.
So they can make more money, supplement their earnings, because we all knew that the WNBA didn't pay them a ton of money, and sometimes certain players, and especially the more elite players, can make more money playing overseas, right?
Right.
So there's gonna be a shift. The main thing is if you have at least 3 years of experience in the WNBA, you are required to, you got to report by the reporting deadline, or else you'll be ineligible for the entire season, which means you won't get paid. So what was happening before was, you got players, playing in 2 leagues at once, and their contracts overseas would mandate that they would play in playoff games over there. Right. So sometimes you would have them reporting for the WNBA teams past the deadline. Yeah. So they'd be reporting late. We have people sitting out the season. So now the WNBA is the priority. Like, they have to, report on time and be present. Now, there are some exemptions for this. Like, if you're playing for your country's national team or in the Olympics, then you can miss. Or if you're playing for lower earnings. So if they're like, oh, you just want to play over there because you're happier, fine, go for it. And I think that because the WNBA, like, clearly we have the best basketball players in the world. Just judging by our Olympic team.
Right.
The WNBA should be the premier league, just like the NBA is the premier basketball league around the world. We have the greatest players, so we should treat them like it, and our league should overall reflect it. So I think it's a good move. I think we're moving in the right direction. And that thing I talked about where like the 3 or more years of experience, that kicks in, that'll kick in by 2024. So I guess there's a little bit of a cushion for it. But, I think it's overall going to just make the league more special. And also, it's going to make players potentially be able to take off some time because, playing year round, you don't give your body enough time to rest. Load management.
Right. Another thing that I read when it was talking about that too, for the league overseas to kind of compromise to make sure that their season, not shorten the season, maybe start their season a little bit earlier so they don't overlap. And I think that's a good thing because I think, first of all, you're from here, and I think that WNBA and them are doing something good to give more money because like some people do it for the money, and and they still may love the game some, but like you said, you still want to make money to take care of bills, a way of living and stuff like that, and so I think it is a good thing that they doing. I really do think it's good, and I think that they should get more money because, don't you want to keep somebody home? You want to take care of your home first, and this is where most of the players and the best basketball players, as you were saying, are the United States women. Or better, really. That's why they want to take some of them over there. So you got to do something to keep somebody at home too.
Yeah, and so with this new agreement, that's kind of that piece of it made the league say, we'll definitely compensate you more. And I'm like, wait, y'all been holding back? Like, y'all mean y'all had cash to be paying these ladies more? You just haven't? But, the league definitely agreed to pay more and offer more benefits. So, just to highlight a few, the salary cap will increase by 30%. So, I guess each team's salary cap has been $1 million. It'll go up to 1.3. And historically, when there have been salary cap increases, it's been about by like 7% or less. So this 30% is a big jump. Players will be able to earn more than $500,000 annually in cash compensation. Max salaries. So if you offer a player the max, that's climbing to $215,000, nearly double the current max of $117,500. So we're moving in the right direction, moving on up. And so now your average WNBA player will be earning 6 figures with the expected cash compensation to average about $130,000. So they're making good money. I might gotta go Joanna Man, go get me up in the WNBA. You seen Joanna Man, right?
Oh, that's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah,
definitely. Actually, I was trying to look for that movie again to just watch it again. That movie was funny.
Yeah, I know. That was a good one. So players will experience about a 53% increase in their cash compensation when you consider their base pay, bonuses, prize pools, and the money they get from revenue sharing from market deals. So this is overall great. They're going to make more. They no longer going to be flying coach.
Right, yeah.
There's no reason the WNBA team should be sitting behind me on the plane. No reason. So they're going to be upgraded a little bit. They'll be in that comfort section. It's not first class, but they'll be in comfort or economy plus. Not behind me, So maybe I'll catch a couple teams, get a couple autographs, But also, I think one of the biggest things we touched on before was the fact that they didn't have their own hotel rooms. Sometimes you have people doubling up. Everybody will get an individual room now, which is a great thing.
Yeah, they don't have to share rooms, huh?
Yeah, they don't have to share rooms. In addition to that, more support for motherhood and family planning. So they'll get fully paid maternity leave, which is important. They'll get, an annual stipend of $5,000 for childcare. There will be workplace accommodations for nursing moms and two-bedroom apartments for players with children. So I guess they even give players living arrangements. And veteran players will be eligible for up to 60,000 in reimbursed expenses related to adoption, surrogacy, and other like fertility or infertility treatments. So moving in a good direction. And I think one of the other things that is kind of being brought back into place is their domestic violence policy. There's kind of been some holes with that in recent years where players have been accused of incidents. I'll say accused because, you know, you're innocent until proven guilty, but let's just say they had domestic violence incidents. And what happens in the NBA is the team can put you on paid leave.
Yeah.
So that you're not like playing in games, because it kind of creates a circus. So while it's being investigated, you're still getting paid, but you're not present. And so the WNBA's policy is going to basically mirror that. Because in some of the recent seasons, they had players who were, dealing with that stuff off the court. Right. The league was investigating it, but they still were suiting up and playing in games. So it kind of creates that circus. So they're trying to do away with that, clean it up a little bit, and also, I guess be able to more so hold their players accountable. But one of the biggest things I saw with that was, they're also incorporating educational offerings and counseling. I think it's a big thing because when you look at I guess people who have domestic violence issues, it's usually a part of a cycle. Like they were exposed to that somewhere in their life. And so, I think offering services to kind of help them break that cycle is more important than the policy itself, So I tip my hat off to the WNBA for that. And then I think that overall this is a big win for women's sports in general. It's underappreciated across all sports.
I think you know what, when it first came, in action, like how people was talking about the WNBA back then, and like you probably weren't even, what's that, 1970? What
97?
97, right. When it started in 97, it took people like now more people getting into it now, so it's definitely going to grow.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and now you look at what it was doing by taking our players overseas, and now they realizing it and starting to give out more money. So it's definitely moving in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely. See, hopefully pretty soon they don't have to play in two leagues. They can get enough money from this one league.
Yeah,
like
I
the
think
NBA
now they
players,
gonna have it.
Like the NBA players don't have to go overseas to get more money.
Right, and that's the goal, to make the WNBA to be the premier basketball league.
It should be.
Yeah, and I think we're in the right direction, but something to think about is, so the U.S. women's national soccer team and U.S. soccer is, they're battling out in court based on, pay disparities between men's and women's soccer. Women are much more successful, but make a lot less. So the fact that, they're in court battling that out, whereas the, WNBA Players Association and the league was able to kind of sit down at a table and negotiate a deal.
Yeah.
It kind of, I think, sets an example of how these things should go. And especially when you talk about helping women get on an equal playing field as men, as equal as can be. So I think that this is definitely a monumental win, especially for women's sports. And I hope that we can see more of it across, all sports, and also all countries, really. Anywhere there's a disparity. And even outside of sport, just looking into, the workforce where you have the wage gap. I think that, this is a great example that should be used as a conversation starter, because women really deserve to be viewed equally as men. There's not anything that, we can do that they absolutely cannot do. So I think that we all should, do a better job of supporting them and helping them in their journeys. Because they deserve it. They work hard for it.
I'm just going to agree with you on that. I'm definitely going to kind of agree with you because, women are good. And good for us just like we are good for them too,
All right, so we're going to leave y'all with that, family. Thanks again for tuning in. If you haven't already, subscribe to our YouTube channel at The NoStoppingKev Show. And also follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Again, at The NoStoppingKev Show. And whatever platform you listen to podcasts, make sure you hit that follow button so you get all the updates of when we post new content. Until next time, peace.
And I'm going to say,
go ahead.
God bless.
Have a great week. We see you again, same time, same place next week.